Hey, how's it going, 251? So, today's lesson is about nukes. Now, nukes are awesome because they are the most powerful weapon that we have in our arsenal. So, there are many different aspects of nukes. There's nuclear strategy, there's the nuclear triad, and then there's compellence and deterrence, which also kind of go into nuclear strategy. So, what we're gonna get started with is compellence and deterrence. So, compellence is getting somebody to do something. So, let's take, for example, your roommate doesn't clean up his room. So, what you do is you keep bugging him and bugging him and bugging him until he finally cleans his room. So you're compelling him to clean his room. Now let's just say your roommate also keeps bringing guests into your room constantly at like 3 in the morning over and over and over again. So you lock your door and lock your roommate out at 3 in the morning because you are deterring him to keep from bringing people into his room. So that's kind of the difference between compellence and deterrence in a roommate scenario. Now, obviously, when there's nuclear weapons involved, there's millions of lives, and it's a lot bigger deal than just a roommate and not getting a couple nights sleep. So another thing about nuclear weapons is this idea of a nuclear triad. So the United States maintains a three-pronged nuclear arsenal. First, we have our land-based ICBMs. Those are your missileers. And then we have our air-launched that mostly come out of B-52s, B-2s, B-1s, our bombs, air-launched cruise missiles, that arm of the nuclear triad. And then we have our SLBMs, which are sea-launched nuclear missiles. The cool thing about the sea-launched nuclear missiles is that they can be anywhere in the world and can be launched from anywhere in the world, and they're almost impossible to target, which makes them really good for a second strike capability. Now, what is a second strike capability? So within nuclear strategy, there's this idea called a first strike and a second strike. So the first strike is the country that launches their nukes first. For example, let's say we go to war with Russia. If we wanted to be the first strike, we would launch our missiles first and hit Russia's first, hence first strike. Now the second strike would be Russia's retaliatory strike. And in our first strike, we would probably destroy all of their nuclear weapons, except for their sea-launched ballistic missiles, since we don't know where they are. So that would be their second strike capability, in essence, to launch a counter-strike to our first nuclear weapons. Now, another really interesting thing about nuclear weapons is that it's all through at this point. Only 2 nuclear weapons have been dropped at this point, and I'm sure you guys remember from your history class, is we're at Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Ever since 1945, not a single nuke has been used. So all of this theory, for the most part, is just that. Theory. This is how we think countries are going to react, but we don't actually know because no one has ever launched the nuke. The closest we got was the Cuban Missile Crisis. So this gives nuclear strategists a lot to think about when they're planning out these things. Also, bringing in new countries with nukes, for example, Iran potentially getting a nuke, and other countries like Pakistan and India that hate each other, both potentially getting, Pakistan having nukes, India also having nukes. Those 2 countries in a stalemate is oftentimes not good, especially with countries that aren't as secure like Pakistan. The main danger with nuclear weapons in today's world is not necessarily a US-Russia Cold War type scenario, but a rogue nation overthrowing a government such as Pakistan and getting their hands on a nuclear weapon and then detonating it in, let's say, Jerusalem or some other major city. So just to give you guys some things to think about in terms of nukes and just, some more modern applications of nukes besides just your traditional Cold War, US versus Russia versus China type scenarios. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. Have a great day and spread air power throughout this university. Thanks, guys.